Hi there. I haven't posted a non-SGH photo-related video in a while, but for some of my long-term viewers, you know that I also post book reviews and comic book reviews, especially from things from my childhood. Well, the Transformers comics is something that a lot of people, some people don't know about. I mean, the old ones from the 80s, the Marvel comics, they haven't seen, or they've only seen, what do you call them, reprints. They haven't seen the originals, and I've been fortunate because me being an older Gen Xer, I have the US and UK Transformer comics from that time period. And I did a review of one of the story arcs from the UK Transformers, and it seemed to be something that a lot of people liked. So I thought I might do just kind of an overview of the Transformer comics the way I did with my Action Superman comics in the past. So those were Silver Age and Bronze Age. These are going to be these are just Bronze Age. They're 80s because they only started in 1984. But we'll see how that goes. I'm thinking about doing videos of the Transformers when I have time and if I have the inclination to do it. I just kind of do things as it appeals to me. Well, to start off, I thought I would show Transformers issue number 1. Now, this is a reprint, but issue 1 is a bit valuable, so I don't want to pull it out and start leafing through it if I can avoid it. But I will show the original comics later if you want, especially because I know there are some people that have showcased the Transformer comics, the US and the UK comics, some YouTubers, but with the US comics, the ones I've seen at least were the reprints, so they don't really show the flavor of that time, like the letters page, which is something I always enjoyed reading. Some people don't, apparently, but I really always enjoyed reading the letters page. And with the UK comics, there's someone who was showing that, but they were just really showing the Transformers story. And the UK comics, the format's very different. There's a backup story, there's like a whole bunch of accoutrements outside of just the Transformers storyline. And one of the things with the letters page with the UK comics, which I really like, is that rather than just writing to the editor the way you do with the US comics and with most comic books, you ask questions or whatever and they answer you, you actually wrote to a character, which was really cool. Like you wrote to Soundwave for a long time and then Grimlock. And of course it's the editor, but they're answering in character, which is pretty neat. I did write to Soundwave a few times, but the thing is, Canada is so far away from from England. These comics were weekly, and so basically they only published letters that were written by people from Britain, maybe England, Scotland and Ireland, maybe. I have to look at the comics again, but I know there were mostly from England, actually. I don't even know if there was for Scotland and Ireland or Wales, but they definitely weren't from Canada, Australia, or anywhere else in the Commonwealth. And again, like I said, I know now with a weekly comic, and this is pre-internet, where you were writing a letter, it probably took a week or two for the letters to reach England, and so they already were publishing the next issue, so they really couldn't publish anything from that time period. But anyway, let's go into issue number 1 of the Transformers. Now again, I'm not going to be talking about the letters page or anything else this time, just a story, because I'm going to be using a reprint. But the Transformers, the first 4 issues of the US comic, they were 4-issue limited series, and apparently they were written by 3 different people. So they talk about it being a mess as far as the way it was. Like it was kind of the story they said was all over the place, but I really like it. I like the first 4 issues of the US comic very much. Let's have a look inside here. The artwork is pretty cool. It's hard to explain though. I like certain artwork styles, and I don't know enough about art to like explain I like so-and-so style. I just know if I like it or not, and I do like the artwork here. I don't like a lot of modern artwork. One thing I do like is that the UK comics did this too, but in the very first couple issues of the Transformers, the US, they was very toy accurate. Now the reason why is that they were actually sent, I guess, facsimiles of the toys as, they were faxed them as a template that they would use for the art. And before the cartoon came out, that was the only way that they would show the characters. But still, I like the toy accuracy. A lot of people probably don't, but still. So it tells the original story, which I'm sure a lot of people know. The Transformers are on Cybertron. They have this great war. There's an asteroid belt. The wars knock Cybertron loose from its orbit. And their Cybertron, the planet, is running into an asteroid belt, which is actually in our solar system. Because in the comic, the Transformers planet is in Alpha Centauri. That's where it was orbiting, and the war went on for 1,000 years already. And then it became as after it was shaken loose from its orbit, and it's drifting in space and comes towards our solar system, and it's going to hit the asteroid belt. So Optimus Prime and talks to the Autobot elders and says that he's going to lead a crack team to destroy the asteroids, or to clear a path for them so that Cybertron doesn't get smashed by asteroids. The Decepticon spies overhear this, and they tell Megatron, who decides to wait until Optimus and the Autobots destroy the asteroids and then attack when they're weakened and out of energy. That's what he does, and the battle is going very well for the Decepticons on the spaceship. So Optimus Prime presses a button to basically do a suicide mission where the spaceship would crash onto the Earth. So that's what happens, and it's dormant for millions of years, and then a volcano erupts and wakes up the spaceship. Again, kind of science fiction-y. And the spaceship's memory banks are lost, so it doesn't know anything about the war, so it just sends a probe out to find what the indigenous life looks like so that they can copy it. Now, because the Transformers are in they're from a machine world, they don't recognize organic life as even being life. They don't even recognize it at all, which is kind of odd to me. I mean, like, even as a kid, I thought, well, I mean, if something's running around, you might not know what it is, but if it's running around, you'd still see it. You'd know it's something, but they just completely ignore it. Anyway, so this probe finds different things, different mechanical things. As you can see here, it found a jet plane, which would be the template for Skywarp, I think, because it's dark, and then finds a highway with a bunch of cars. None of the cars drawn are actually like the Autobots, but artistic license. It would be kind of cool if one of them turned into a kind of a truck that was towing a boat. That would be kind of neat. But anyway, also finds a boombox, which actually looks more like Blaster than Soundwave, but whatever. Anyway, then it goes back into the Ark, which is the spaceship, and it starts restructuring the Transformers to resemble those machines that were discovered. And again, because the memory banks were destroyed, it doesn't remember the war, so it fixes all of them. Now, obviously, that has to be a plot point, because if it remembered the war and just fixed the Autobots and left the Decepticons there wouldn't be a story. Or at least, that wouldn't be the story. I guess going back to Cybertron would be the story. But anyway, so Megatron and the Decepticons are fixed, and while the Autobots are groggy, Megatron decides that they're brand new in this world, they don't know anything, so they're going to leave and find out stuff first. But it's kind of cool. They do have an expository dump, which I don't mind, actually, where each Megatron asks how everyone's doing, and they each give basically a little bio, which I think is kind of cool. I think that wasn't in the UK comic, though. I know the Autobot bio was. I don't think the Decepticon bio was, for some reason. Anyway, like I said, they give a bio, they leave, and the Autobots that were waking up too, Optimus and Prowl talk about the how the Decepticons can now change into these earthen forms, and Optimus says, yes, I think we can too now, and again, the Autobots give a bio. Now, in 1984, I don't know how many of you here are familiar with the 1984 Transformers lineup. There were a lot more Autobots than the Decepticons, about twice as many, but they were smaller, so I guess it was still kind of an even fight, because, like, 1 for 1, I don't think most of the Autobots couldn't tackle a Decepticon. Again, even the smaller ones. Now, the size might not matter, because Brawn is one of the smaller mini-bots, but he's supposed to be the second strongest, only to Optimus Prime, even though he's one of the mini-bots. So it's not always about size, but still, that's how it went. And if anyone knows nothing about the Transformers, the Autobots turn into cars and trucks, and the Decepticons become planes and communications devices, especially in 1984. So, Optimus talks about how they should repair the ship and also learn about Earth, I should say. So they look at different screen images for hours. Not television. It's actually screen images shown from their probes, which basically just show the machine life again. In the meantime, okay, so I know if a lot of you have watched a cartoon, you know Spike Witwicky, or he's also in the new egregious live-action movies. But in the comic, he was Buster Witwicky. Spike is actually his brother, which would be introduced to years later. But for now, Buster was basically the Spike character. And one odd thing is that his father, Sparkplug, unlike him being a construction worker in the cartoon, he's a mechanic. That's not odd. But the odd part of it is that the mechanic, I don't know, it's odd to me because, like, you know, it isn't like Spike is this like rebellious kid that's going around partying. He's a really he's a very smart person, and he's working on a scholarship. He's doing book reports, and his father is always like, "What are you doing? You know, reading all the time, sticking your nose in a book. It's not the real world." It's just kind of, I mean, I guess the people like that in real life. It's just kind of funny though because it's like, you know, what are you doing studying? You know, I don't really. That's something I would never hear. But anyway, so the Autobots, a contingent of them, led by Prowl, and Bumblebee's included, and just again, so for those of you who don't know the 1984 Transformers and just know the modern ones, Bumblebee is not a Camaro, he's a Volkswagen Beetle, okay? And beyond that, he is not an action hero or anything of that nature. He's the smallest, weakest, youngest Autobot. He's not physically strong at all. He doesn't get into physical fights. I think in the cartoon he might have fought one of the cassettes, or maybe occasionally, but he's not like a action hero the way he is in the modern take of Transformers. But anyway, so Bumblebee is kind of the little brother of the Autobots, and so Bumblebee, Prowl, Hound, who's a Jeep who can detect things. Brawn, the second strongest Autobot I mentioned before, and Cliffjumper, whose toy design is just like Bumblebee's, but a different color. But he's also a lot more gung-ho, and is more of a fighter. He's not that strong, but he's kind of scrappy. They go off to explore, to meet the Earthlings, and again, they're looking for cars and trucks, not humans. They actually go to a drive-in movie, and they're confused because all the cars are parked and just standing still, looking at a screen, and they think it might be religious observance. They don't know what it is. But in the meantime, as they're doing that, Laserbeak is spying on them and radios the Decepticons, and Megatron's like, "Oh, we can't have the Autobots aligning with the Earthlings. We have to attack them now." So they attack the drive-in. Eventually, I should mention, there's a couple hijinks with Bumblebee and he meets Buster. It doesn't meet Buster. He doesn't know that Buster's a being. He actually wants to greet an Earthling, so he bumps Buster's car. But anyway, that's not very that's very short-lived because the Decepticons attack. And the Autobots try to defend themselves, but when they see the cars not defending themselves, they wonder what's going on. And finally, Prowl realizes during this battle here, realizes that no, the cars are not sentient. It's the little organic creatures that are. And you see, as they're fighting, he fights Soundwave. It's kind of cool because Prowl is supposed to be a very logical and very analytical and very intelligent Autobot, and so he could do multiple things at a time too. That his logic center lets him do that. So he's shooting at Soundwave and also pointing at the humans. I always thought that was a pretty cool frame. And you see the humans at the drive-in; they're all running in terror, which you would be doing if suddenly planes dive bomb out of the sky and start bombing the drive-in and robots start fighting. But anyway, he realizes that the humans are the intelligent creatures, and he decides that they need to retreat for a couple reasons. He needs to tell Optimus Prime this, and he also needs to draw the fire of the Decepticons away so that the humans aren't hurt. But in the meantime, I should mention, the very first Salvo damaged Bumblebee. Buster heard him crying and realizes that Bumblebee is alive, and then when he sees the Autobots turn on the cars and leave, he kind of puts two and two together a bit. He doesn't know what's happening, but he knows that they're probably alive. He goes to he wants to fix Bumblebee. He goes to the garage where his dad works. I mean, his dad owns the garage. It's right next to their house. But he doesn't know anything about fixing cars. So he tells his dad what's going on. At first, his dad thinks that he's fixing cars on the sly. And he's like, "Oh, I'm really proud of you that you put the books away and you're fixing cars." But anyway, then it ends with him telling his dad, "No, this is a living being." Now, it's to be continued. I'm not going to go into each issue as extensively as I did the first one, but the first issue, 1984 Transformers, so I thought I would go into it pretty extensively. But we can talk about it later when I show the issues. But you know, the Wikis, of course, are going to befriend the Autobots just like they do in any incarnation. And there's more human characters in this. I didn't mention her, but Buster has a girlfriend named Jessie. Not Curly from the cartoon, but Jessie. And his best friend is named O. Just O. I guess that's kind of a nickname, but they never actually say what his name is. The three of them were in the drive-in, and so they all saw this happen. So anyway, that's the beginning of the Transformers. Like I said, I was a huge fan of the Transformers way back in the 80s, and most of my friends were too. Um, uh, Okay, well, I'm not gonna. This video is already 15 minutes long. I'm not gonna go into it too much, but I had most of the toys from before the Transformers movie. I mean, the 1986 animated movie. The 84 and 85 Transformers were die-cast metal. They were Diaclone and Microman machines from Japan that they made into the Transformers toy line. So they were die-cast metal. After that, they were plastic. I really liked the 84 and 85 toys. I wish I still had them. I don't. But they were pretty cool, and I know some of you probably know of the GoBots, who were kind of like the people call them the budget Transformers. They're basically the same premise. They were smaller and not as complicated. They actually came out first. I like the GoBots a lot, actually. I know a lot of people don't, but they kind of one thing that I think really stopped them from becoming as popular. They never had a comic book. The way the Transformers did. So like even now, I wouldn't, on my age, I still may like the toys and say, oh, that was kind of cool for nostalgia, but I'm not going to get down and start playing with toys. But I still will read my Transformer comics. The GoBots, I had a few storybooks, which I will read occasionally, but they're nowhere near as, they're storybooks for little children. They're not comic books for like older children or teenagers. So, it doesn't have that long-lasting, that longevity to it. But anyway, but I loved playing with the GoBots. A good friend of mine, his parents couldn't really afford a lot of Transformers toys, so he had a bunch of GoBots, and so we would always pretend that Leader 1 is the leader of the Guardian GoBots, which is the good guys, and Psykill is the leader of the Renegades, which is the bad guys, and we'd pretend that like something's happening where Optimus has to call on Leader 1 or vice versa for help, or Psykill and Soundwave would get together to form a plan, an evil plan, and they'd have to combine. I said Soundwave because I didn't play with guns, so Soundwave was the leader of my Decepticons. I didn't have Megatron. But anyway, those were good times, but again, this is a comic review, not a review of my nostalgia life. So I hope you enjoyed this, and if you are interested, please let me know, because I'm thinking, like I said, about doing more comic book reviews of the US and UK Transformers line, which I might do anyway, even if no one comments, because I just do this for fun, for myself. But if people comment and they're really interested in this, I really would consider doing it. So leave a comment below. Again, please, no bad language, nothing obscene, please, okay? This is, again, I'm here to relive my childhood fantasy, so, not childhood fantasy, my childhood enjoyments. Anyway, that's my phone, so let me let you go. Take care.